All right. If you found this, I imagine that you're done with self-gaslighting. You're complete with spiritual fluff. And if you've been connecting to a sense of your higher purpose, higher self, you're very interested in how to apply all this wisdom and knowledge that has been connecting with you in practical ways in your life so that you can live a more meaningful, satisfying existence. Well, hello, traveler. I'm Danielle Lynn. I connect with empowered alchemists at play, such as yourself. And in these videos, we have synchronistic conversations that help you remember with more and more clarity the perspectives, the inner tools, the resources, and simply what is available to you here and now so that you can live in these satisfying, grounded ways that are meaningful to you. So in today's video, a topic that came through seemed very important to talk about. So important, I was just like, a topic that came through was this tendency to idealize spiritual paths, spiritual teachers, and this tendency to create elevated structures based on where you perceive you are and then where you perceive things that you're observing seemingly outside of yourself. So in today's video, we're going to dispel some of that, if you so choose, and we're going to connect to even more empowering perspectives that will help you right now, if you so choose, make choices in your life that are going to feel a lot more, well, again, to use the word grounded. Because you see, one thing that I have noticed, and I have done in my own life, a lot of spiritual exploration, a lot of spiritual seeking, is this tendency for us when we're in that spiritual seeking mode to elevate the perceived teacher, to elevate the perceived lessons. That makes sense because oftentimes what inspires the journey of spiritual seeking is pain, is suffering. It could just be unknowing, the curiosity for more. And there's no shame or blame with any of that. But I invite you to follow along with this perspective. I think you'll find it very helpful and enlightening. So what may happen is we inadvertently place these teachings, these teachers at a place above where we are because we perceive ourselves being in a place of lack or searching or not knowing, and the teacher or the teaching being in a place of knowing, of knowledge, of stability, essentially embodying all the things that we desire. And what is very interesting about that is so long as we are here and the teacher is here, then we're always finding ourselves arriving in each moment like this. Okay? Meaning, in each and every moment, it's not like, oh, we're coming here. So long as there is this sense of more than, less than, then we place ourselves inadvertently on a hierarchy within our own life system in which things outside of us can be greater or less than. Now, the paradox here, in my experience, is indeed, we can arrive at a teacher, at a teaching, at an experience, and observe how it embodies something that we feel excited about embodying ourselves. But it is the way that we connect with the teacher or teaching that allows us to go from awe and curiosity into embodiment ourselves. You see, it's my perspective that when you come across a teacher or teaching on some level, you're just meeting yourself. You are meeting an aspect of self that appears to be projected outside of you, that is really pointing back to the internal, eternal you. And this is so because it's my experience in this reality that we can only encounter what resonates with us, to us, as us on some level. And so, for example, It's my perspective that you and I having this conversation, you having any number of conversations that we have had so far, if you've already been watching many of the videos in this channel, on some level, this is you talking to you. The parts here of this conversation that resonate with you, like I am me, you are you, we are also we, but the parts here that are resonating to you are resonating in harmony with truths or elements already existing within you as you. And it's my perspective that one of the functions, I was going to say fun functions, one of the functions of these conversations is they are essentially highlighting the truths, the resonant truths that already exist within you as you. And should you choose to go, yeah, I want more of that. I choose more of that. I am that. I am this. What it's doing is it's simply highlighting for you the pathways, the resonances and experiences that already exist inside of you, so that you then may tune in tune with yourself, be attuned with these elements of yourself that already exist. And so you can come across conversations like this, you can come across teachings, experiences that essentially become, to use a term that I find very favorable from a being called Bashar, a permission slip. A permission slip that allows you to access what is already present in you. Because in my experience, we are already built to thrive. We come standard installed with deluxe thriving mechanisms. And it is only our attachments, our perceptions, our belief structures that may create experiences that seem as though we are separate from what is our ideal self. Now, I share all that from a perspective that if you hear that and you go, oh, okay, so I have blocks, I have this, I have that. The fun paradox is even that is an identification with a state. And the interesting thing about life is the more we identify with something, the more we place focus and momentum into it. You see? And in my experience, we'll call it a trick. The trick of it is not to repel all identification, nor is it to go all in with all identification. It's to be the merging and the knowing, the flexibility to shift between the identification and then the release of it at the resonant moments. This is what we might call synchronistic timing. I think a bit of that song, know when to hold them, know when to fold them. It's a very fun one. And this knowing allows us to essentially surf reality. The bigger key here is we surf reality from the understanding that we're not attempting to actually avoid anything, but rather we are simply aware that there are many choices and trajectories for us to choose from, and that where we place our focus, so we amplify, so we enhance in the reality of our experience. That part that resonates that I talked about a little earlier enhances. And therefore, the megaphone, microphone, tuning fork is louder, is more magnetic, you see. A teacher or teaching reminds me of a raft that you may utilize along with your own skills, your own ability to navigate and discern. It assists you during a juncture. And then eventually at a point, you may use the raft and come to the other side. And at that point, if you're walking and you attempt to pick up the raft and drag it with you, what was once helpful, what was once expansive, now it's a burden. It's almost slowing you down. And this is the really interesting thing about teachings. People say, well, at this point, this teaching was helpful, but now it's not resonating. that doesn't mean that the teaching was any less impactful or powerful for you at that juncture in your journey. It simply means that you've arrived at the point where the teacher has completed their juncture of the journey with you. And now you have the freedom to emerge into the next shape. The caterpillar eats leaves until it becomes the butterfly, in which case the leaves are no longer of assistance to it in the way it once was for the caterpillar. But in a very interesting way, once the butterfly has done its journey and it's ready to do the life cycle again, it actually lays its eggs on the leaves once more. And in the same way, you might find yourself coming back to the place with the raft, and maybe this time you're the one providing the raft. And in this way, we find that we're all part of a cycle. There's no one above or below really anyone else, while paradoxically, we can appear to be as such through the nature of the perception of the journey. But again, it's not linear in my perspective. It is more cyclical, and even further, more like a spiral. That was a good one. I liked this. And so the important thing being shared here is when you are exploring your life and you are exploring perspectives that resonate with you and you go, yes, this, yes, that, I invite you to consider that at the beginning and at the end and at the middle and all stages, you are your most, I was going to say important guide, but maybe the most resonant guide. And it's understandable that if you're at a certain part in your journey, you might still be in relationship with yourself. You might be still exploring the layers, I was going to say levels, but the level layers of developing trust and discernment with yourself. Because it's not as though you're intentionally trying to trick yourself or being confusing, but a lot of times I find when we're embarking on this journey, we may not have consciously been developing communication and relationship with ourselves. So sometimes in the beginning of the voyage, we are going through the process of the self-discernment, the self-awareness, and the remembering, which in these cases, certain teachings or certain encounters or conversations like these can be of assistance until they're complete. And then at that stage, you might explore the next and the next and the next. And another I'll invite you to consider is that sometimes we complete for a time a teaching or a journey, like you put a book away and you might not touch it for years, and then suddenly it just pops into your mind and you come back again and you're like reading it, and yet it's almost as though you've read these pages before, but there's new wisdom there. There's new wisdom there. And so I'm getting tingles on this one. So if that resonates, I also invite you to maybe explore at this moment, perhaps there's a teaching or a book or something you've experienced once and haven't touched, and then maybe there's something new for you right now. One thing I enjoy doing is I enjoy playing synchronicity with my books, and I'll pick up the book and I'll say, what is the resonant passage for me to look at right here, right now, that'd be most helpful? And then I might flip it open to a random page and read and digest. If that sounds fun to you, you might give that a go. And so, what more? I'll also share with you teachings and techniques are like wonderful portals into new states of awareness. And another part of the wisdom of them, I utilize them, but I will choose to remember that they are not the source of my power empowerment. They are a vehicle for me to express my empowerment. And you may use them, modalities, teachers, trainings, tools. Maybe use is not the right word, but you may utilize them, connect with them in a way that feels resonant with you for as long as is resonant with you, for as long as is of the deepest service to you. And if it shifts, you might allow it to shift because perhaps there's something new coming through. Perhaps you are going to draw a new modality through, but it was essential for you to go through those experiences, for you to have the lexicon. That's our word of the day, lexicon. The lexicon, or the knowledge, in order for you to pull that through. Gosh, isn't it beautiful right now? And so, my friend, thank you for another wonderful conversation. I enjoy these conversations. They are inspiring to me as well. And I'm grateful for our time together. If you have any comments, what really stood out to you in today's conversation? What would you like to share? Would love to hear. And please do feel free and be invited to like, subscribe, and share with someone that you think this will be of service to. I also have some resources, description link, and I am very excited to share some further upcoming experiences. At the time of making this video, we have a full house, so to speak, for the Alchemy workshop. And at the time of making this video, very soon the Alchemy lab will also be open. And so in all cases, very excited to share that. And may you have a resonant moment to moment to moment.